Are you an engineer, a computer scientist, or maybe just a traffic control enthusiast? Chances are you're not, but if you want to understand the copper golem, you need to think like one. What seems like a simple mob is actually a surprisingly complex system, one that you can't truly master without digging into the science behind how it works. And that, my friends, is exactly what we're going to do today. Hello, miners and crafters. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks to all of you, my last video on copper golems became my most successful video to date. I seriously can't thank you enough for your support. Today I'm building on that foundation by truly demystifying the golem and showing you why they're the new king of item sorting in Minecraft Bedrock. Now, many people still think of the copper golem as a trade-off, sacrificing the speed of a traditional item filter for something that's cheaper and easier to build. But if you know the secrets, they are better in pretty much every single way. Let's break down why the traditional item filters just can't compete. They are slower, arguably more expensive, and you can't even build them until you have nether access and a good supply of iron and redstone. They also cause more lag, they have an arguably larger footprint, and most importantly, they can only sort one type of item per chest, and they cannot sort non-stackable items at all. Copper golems, on the other hand, are the future. So what makes designing a golem system for Bedrock Edition so difficult? Well, let's take a quick look at Java Edition and I can show you. So we're here in Java, and as you can see, you can disable mob hitboxes with something like a vine, which means that you can cram as many golems as you want into a tiny space without them ever bumping into each other. But in Bedrock Edition, you can't do this. But as you can see here in Java, it's absolutely trivial to make a sorting system like this, and as you can see here, this is incredibly fast. They can all coexist in the same space, and everything is being sorted incredibly fast. But let's head back over to Bedrock Edition so we can try and solve the problem. So what's the solution? It is real-world engineering. The main challenge is fitting multiple golems into the same system without them colliding and interfering with each other. And this is where the principles of real-life traffic control and street design come into play. My last video was a good starting point, but thanks to what we've learned since and all the bug fixes and all the improvements that have been made to golems, we can now make designs that are even faster. Now, keep in mind that this is still technically a preview, but the update is going to be releasing in a few days as I record this video, so I'm pretty sure that most of the features are final, other than a few tweaks here and there. So I'm pretty sure that this principle is still going to stand once the full release comes out. But the foundation of my new design is a roundabout. The goal is to get the golems moving through the system simultaneously in the same direction, preventing collisions and making everything much more efficient. This allows you to fit a huge number of golems into the system, and you can model the roundabout in Minecraft by leveraging the golem's movement habits. So golems are happy to fall a few blocks. Let me just demonstrate here. Matter of fact, here, let's get a couple of these. But they're happy to drop a couple of blocks, but they can only climb up one block at a time. So you make them travel in one direction to jump off a multi-block ledge, and then when they need to return, they're forced to take a different path that's only one block high, and this simple principle forces them into a continuous circular pattern. Now, a roundabout works great with a small number of golems, but once the count starts to climb, congestion becomes a problem, and this is where you need to introduce more traffic control solutions. And that's where these things come in. The cobweb takes the job of the stop sign because it slows the golems down so only one can pass at a time. And this gives the golems a few seconds of buffer time to look through the copper chest before the next one comes and pushes it aside. The water acts as a speed limit, and this slows down the golems returning to the chests to match the speed of the ones that are still searching through the wooden chests. And this ensures that the system stays in perfect sync without each golem trying to travel faster than another one. And then the blue ice is basically a distance rule to make them so that they don't follow each other too close. When they bump into each other while on blue ice, they tend to scatter apart instead of bunching up together. And then the trapdoors act as a center divider, so it forces them to go into two separate lanes, just like in real traffic, and that just keeps it more efficient, and it keeps them moving in the right direction. Now, that being said, my Golem sorter isn't without its own cons. It does require silk touch, as you can see here by the blue ice, and also because of the water, it cannot be built in the nether, but you can still get a version with no blue ice to work semi-reliably before you need to get silk touch. And then same with the water. You can probably get it to work semi-reliably, but eventually once the golem count increases, you do need that water to make it more reliable. And so this is the design that I have finally come up with. This is after many iterations, which you'll get to see here in a moment, but this is basically the gist of how it works. Let me place a couple golems here. And let's toss in some yellow wool. It's easy to see, of course. Now I've made yellow wool be the item that gets sorted last, so all of these colors here will have to wait, and then it'll go into the junk chest and shoot over to the next module. And you'll notice they're getting stuck here at the cobweb, which is like a stop sign. They're given the extra space that they need before this guy comes and pushes them along, and then they'll each go into their own lane, jump off of here, and then search into each chest to try and find the correct location. And then, as you see, the next ones are coming through. Now, they'll come through faster when there's more golems in there. I've just allowed it to be seen more easily, but generally they don't have to wait as long in that spot. So you'll see here in a minute, once they reach that final chest, they'll circle back up and do the same thing all over again. And let me place a few more just so you can kind of see a few other things that I'm also talking about. So once these guys climb back over here, you'll see that they'll keep pushing up against here so that they don't have to wait as long. And the ones that get sorted into the junk chest get moved over to the next module. And then these guys come and sort of push each other along. And the blue ice here, of course, is so that they don't bunch up all together in this spot. They end up pushing each other back and forth like bumper cars instead of just kind of being stuck there. Now, of course, it's all empty, so the cycle isn't going to continue. But you basically saw what happened here, right? And now it's going over to the next module, and of course, if you want, then the next guys do the same thing. And rinse and repeat until all the items are sorted. And you'll see here, of course, once there's plenty of golems, these guys don't wait here as long, but they still keep that buffering space in between. Now, when you want to measure a farm's output, most people look at items per hour. It's a great metric for most things, but with a golem sorter, it can be completely misleading, right? Because think about it, a golem can sort a single enchanted book just as quickly as it can sort 16 pieces of gravel, right? So the sorter is performing the same task, but the item count is drastically different. And this, is kind of the same with ender pearls or stackable items, non-stackable items. So this makes items per hour an unreliable number for my system. So I created a new custom metric, trips per hour. A trip is defined as the time it takes a golem to visit a copper chest, and it's the most consistent unit of work that you can measure in a golem sorter, right? Because it's based on the golem's actions, not the randomness of the items that it's sorting. Redstone sorters, on the other hand, are typically measured in items per hour, so I've had to convert their output to trips per hour so we can make a direct comparison. And this final design is the result of countless hours of testing and iteration from my earliest flawed prototypes to this final version. And using my new metric, the data speaks for itself. As you can see here, the traditional redstone filter is a constant reliable 556.1 trips per hour, converted of course. That's an estimation of course, obviously, but my golem sorter with just 16 golems already surpasses it, clocking in at a verified 576 trips per hour. But the real magic happens at 24 golems, where this is the optimal number that I found, where the sorter peaks at a final verified result of 766 trips per hour. And this is where you get the most speed and efficiency without sacrificing reliability. But as you can see with my test at 32 golems, the numbers go up, but it enters a zone that I found to be flawed and unreliable. So there you go. There's the data behind all of this. So why don't we go ahead and figure out how to build this. Now the way I compared these against each other is by giving them exactly the same amount of items to sort. I put 10 stacks of wool in each of the sorting chests, and I put them in the same order as well, starting with lime and then going into the green wool all the way down to yellow, which represents the junk items. And I did the same for both sides, so as you can see here, exactly the same order. And I made them sort the same amount of items, and that is how I got the controlled testing speed to compare them between each other. And then of course, to measure the reliability of this, I tested it with real life scenarios. So I entered in loot that would represent an actual real life farm scenario, such as piglin bartering and raid farms and all that stuff, to see how it actually behaves with, you know, a real life scenario as opposed to just a controlled test. So that's how I measured the speeds of these things. Now of course, the item filter itself, you can extend it indefinitely. These ones here require modules, but I chose obviously 10 or 9 regular chests and then 1 junk chest, so that it matches the speed, or matches the amount of chests that this design has, which by the way I'm calling the carousel. And so yeah, that's how I measured these against each other. Now before we get to the tutorial, please make sure to leave a like and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, because it helps the channel a lot and it helps me make more content for you. Okay, so we're going to start off by placing a 2x2 of blue ice just like this, and then you're going to place a series of 10 double chests in a row going after it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These two we're going to leave open for now and go ahead and double these up just like that. And then you're going to place trapdoors along just like this, and on the other side as well. We're also going to place another series of these on top like this, and we're going to open these up. Over here, we're just going to place some hoppers underneath. Now you want to take your building block of choice and go ahead and start building up here. You're going to place another set of trapdoors right here, but it's only going to be single layer. Don't stack it up top there. Then place a temporary block right here with a stair going up like this. You can remove that. Same thing here. You're going to place a stair like that. Remove it. And then underneath here, you're going to place a row of slabs just like this. The reason you want to do this is so that, number one, you can crouch underneath here and get to the golems if you need to. By the way, if you left click, or if you right click on a golem with an empty hand, you will take the item that they're holding. So that's one more reason to be able to sneak into here. But otherwise, if you put full blocks like this, it's going to be blocking the top of the chest and it'll be a little bit annoying, so easier to just place slabs right here. You can go ahead and do exactly what we've done here on the opposite side. Next up, you can place your blue ice along this ledge. And of course this is optional, but this would be a great place to place shelves so that you can display what items are in each chest. By the way, the back side of these doesn't have to have the slabs. You can just close it up if you want. If you're only going to be accessing those from the front, you can even wall it off. But I just like to have it accessible from both sides. Now you're going to build up 2 and have your building blocks just like that. Wall this off, and you're going to want another slab under here like this, again, so you can both access the golems and get their stuff in between here, but also you're going to be able to reach the copper chest through this little gap here that you'll be able to see. Now this is where your cobwebs are going to go, one right here and one right here. And by the way, this doesn't have to be glass that you're using. I'm using glass just to make it easier to see, but you can use solid blocks or opaque blocks if you want to. Now you can just take your building blocks and extend these pathways by 4. Now you want to fill up this wall, leave a gap of 2, and bring this up by 5. And then finish this by filling in all the in-between blocks. You can go ahead and extend the ledge over. Go ahead and close this off like this, and complete the same on the other side. Okay, so next you want to place a temporary block right here, and then place a couple of blocks just like that. Then extend this all the way to the end. And then you want to build up this section right here all the way to the end as well, but leave this gap here. This is where your copper chest is going to go. Make sure it's a waxed copper chest if you want it to stay at the oxidation level that you want. Now you can build up on this wall right here. And then extend this all the way around, just like this. And on the other side. And now you want to come and waterlog almost all of these trapdoors from both sides. You want to skip the first and the last one. So go ahead and waterlog them just like so. And the other side. And now you can go ahead and fill in any remaining gaps like this one and on the other side. And you do want to leave this little drop into here. You don't want to extend the ice all the way back. This is going to make it so that they're not just dropping into here and going straight in there. You want there to be a tiny little buffer where they have to climb up a bit just so that they can align themselves more easily. And if you want a maintenance hatch, by the way, if something gets stuck, you want to climb over the top to get in. Do not place a door here. Something that I realized while testing is that they can actually open doors. Fun fact, didn't know that. There's lots of cool things that they can do that I noticed just by testing. They can use totems is another thing. But in general, yeah, they can open doors. So don't place a door in this thing or they will escape. Now at the very end here, you want to decide what you want to do with this. If you want to do an entirely different module, then you're going to have to build a water elevator system, which I can show you how. But if this is the only module that you're building, then this can be your junk chest. You're just going to make these hoppers underneath lead into a chest like this. And let me fix this real quick and have the hoppers lead in like this, and that'll be a junk chest. However, let me show you what to do if you want this to go to a separate module. So this here is the circuit that you need to transfer them into the module. As you can see here, it's a pretty simple circuit, and you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 blocks after the the end of it. By the way, you can build this symmetrically, right? So you can build this mirrored if you want the copper chest to be on the right side. Going the other way, you can totally do that. But I'm just going to refer to this as the right side, even though it doesn't have to be. And you're going to want to place your dropper right there. And you want to have all these hoppers connecting into the dropper. So you would go just like this and like this. You can fill all of this up. Dig out a few blocks behind the dropper. Place a comparator right here. Repeater right there on the default ticks. And place some redstone all the way around here. And place a target block right there. Replace this block here with soul sand. And build up a... Whoops. Forgot to close this up. But build a tower around this like so. Now you want the tower to go one above this level here. And go ahead and place a temporary block right here and place your other chest or your other copper chest right there with a hopper pointing into it, and place a fence on top of it and extend this wall out just like so, and have some water going all the way up to the top, and place a block on top just like this. This is the equivalent of this right here. So your hopper would be leading into it like this, and then the water elevator would be coming up right here. Right, and then, well, I guess one above, but you see what I'm saying. That's the equivalent of that. Now, a couple things to remember about this. Remember, you also need to wax your golems that you put in, otherwise they might freeze. And the other thing is that you want to add some lightning protection to this, because these things will attract lightning. So you want to place something like a lightning rod somewhere around here so that this thing doesn't get struck by lightning, or you just want to place a roof over this somehow, some kind of ceiling. That way, if this does get struck by lightning, it won't spread to some of those, or depending on whatever you've built this with, right? You don't want to build it out of something flammable and not have fire protection or lightning protection. So that pretty much does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and don't forget to hit that bell.